So I have been trying to film this video, set it up, do the whole thing, and he just will not let me be alone. So I guess this is what we're dealing with today. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, my name is Zhariya Smith, and I typically make commentary videos just like this one. And today's candle is boba tea because I love boba, and also this candle smells delicious, and I have boba today. So yeah, I guess let's just get into today's video. I filmed this after I finished filming the video because I realized I didn't do an intro, so let's talk. Let's look at what past me said, I guess. So for today's video, I actually read a book, and I know it's upside down, and that is so rare of me. I never read. Well, I do read, but I typically read short articles, and by read, I mean I use my Chrome extension to read out loud to me because I am borderline illiterate, despite being a college student. But I actually read this guy right here, The Myth of Sisyphus, because I had kind of, while I was dealing with my car accident stuff and I was not posting, my days felt like they were just repeating. It was giving Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day, Russian Doll. It was giving just repeating the same tasks over and over again and kind of having nothing else to do. So if you clicked on today's video, I don't know what I'm titling it yet. What do you think the title should be, Bronx? Oh, that's revolutionary idea from Bronx here. But if you clicked on this video, chances are you are like me, and whether you are in high school, in college, post-grad, or even if you're 58 years old, I'm sure at some point we have all kind of felt that cyclical nature of doing the exact same things over and over again. And actually recently, kind of the thing that catapulted me into kind of talking about this was I was looking at my old TikToks. It doesn't matter, but there was this TikTok where the audio was like, all I do is work, go home, blink twice, and then I'm back at work.
It's like all I do is work, go home, blink twice, and my ass back at work.
And as a person who had 2 jobs at the time, I really resonated with that TikTok audio. But as I have become older and I've become also promoted within my job, so now I'm 21 and I have reached official adulthood, even though I still, I guess the real adulthood is being 25, but I'm like almost there. Recently I saw this TikTok as well, and it was, I'll actually just put it on the screen and you'll get what I'm, talking about.
Coming to bed, honey?
Yes, dear.
And I've kind of noticed that even in this TikTok, and just as I've gotten older, I feel like as in a capitalist society, we're kind of expected to do the exact same thing every single day with very little PTO, almost no room to give birth because, oh God, if you give birth, that's, the worst thing you could ever do. You rarely get sick, and you work your whole life until you're 60, or actually 62, or maybe 65, because they also happen to change their retirement age like every other year, I feel like. But with all of that aside, we're expected to do the same tasks, the same things over and over again, like we're a sim with no, actual substance to us. I was sitting at home, kind of recovering from the car accident, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life while I was still having to go to work every single day. I really did live that life of literally going to work and then going straight home and doing homework and then sleeping and then going back to work. And it was so unfulfilling, especially with me not having YouTube, that I wasn't posting on YouTube then. It was really difficult, and I realized that without YouTube or without any basic little hobbies, we're in this constant cycle of just not having fun. My tentative title for this right now is called The Endless Cycle of the Mundane, though I probably will change that. And, they say apparently the curse of being an adult is having to do this. And I personally feel like that as, the Gen Z entitled generation person that I am, think that I'm not doing that. I have decided I'm breaking that cycle. I'm no longer, I'm going to be working, but I'll get into it. So today's video, I kind of aim to do a deep dive of the endless cycle that we face, and how we can break it, and, kind of some reasons as to why we're kind of forced to do this thing every single day, and almost like the absurdity of the human condition, in reference to the book that I read. So what prompted me to make this video in the first place was kind of the myth of Sisyphus. Now, if you've been in an English class ever in high school, you probably know exactly who Sisyphus is. But if you don't know who Sisyphus is, please don't take a shot every time I say Sisyphus, because you will be dead. The myth of Sisyphus is kind of an interesting one, and it's kind of one of those things that's supposed to be a metaphor for, the human condition, the absurdity of the human life, all of this jazz. But I'm going to quickly give you a recap of the myth of Sisyphus and his little story and his joint and why he is forced to do the things that he has to do at the end of his life. Some say he's still rolling that rock up a hill to this day. Sisyphus was actually the king of Corinth. Zeus, who, as you know, is the main dude of all the dudes, he punished Sisyphus to do a horrific task, at least in his eyes, which was to roll a rock up a mountain, just for it to fall back down and have to redo the entire thing every single day. The reason why is because Sisyphus cheated death not once but twice, and Zeus was not having it. Zeus was like, you cannot keep on doing this, bud, and it also make the gods look really, really bad. So it was a whole vibe of just, let's get this Sisyphus guy kicked out, let's make him do this thing, and then move on. So there are plenty of theories as to what the story of Sisyphus even means. I think about this is going to sound so stupid, but it's such a Gen Z thing of me to say, but the episode of SpongeBob where Squidward is constantly but he is under the assumption that he loves doing the exact same thing every single day. When he moves into that town, he did the exact same thing every single day and then thought he enjoyed it until he got so sick of it, he couldn't do it anymore. And, living that mundane life, living the exact same thing can be good for some people. Some people do enjoy that. But those things have limits. That's why we have other tasks and things. But then when those hobbies or tasks also become a part of that routine, then it just becomes cyclical. Some say that Sisyphus, the whole metaphor of him, rolling the rock up a hill for it to fall back down, is just like the rising and setting of the sun, Who's to say? This is literally all probably made up anyways. But the point is that this story of Sisyphus made me really interested. Like Albert Camus, I hope I'm saying that right, because if I'm not, this is going to be so embarrassing to edit. But Albert Camus basically, points out that being a human being in general is pretty absurd and crazy, wacky, fun, funky times we're having over here in humanity, whatever it even is. We could get into a whole existentialism. Why are we here? What is our purpose? Outside of, religion and all of that stuff, we're really just floating on a rock doing nothing, and we're expected to pay taxes. And for some reason, healthcare isn't a human right. So Albert Camus, who wrote The Myth of Sisyphus, he says that almost being a human being is absurd, and pointing out this absurdity is kind of within the case of Sisyphus. He kind of says, in a way, I don't have the direct quote, which is funny because I literally read the book, so you'd think that I would, highlight, but no, because why would I do that? Definitely not going back either. But he basically, implies and kind of says that overall, being a human is really weird and it's absurd. He's like trying to get his claw and hurt me. And we have to assume that Sisyphus enjoys what he does, because just like a human being, you love your job up until some point, and kind of with Sisyphus, he rolls the rock up the hill every single time because in Albert Camus' mind, he enjoys doing that. The thrill of bringing the rock up the hill, the thrill of doing hard work and doing something like that is rewarding enough that he kind of forgets about the fact that the rock rolls down shortly after he finishes this grandiose task. And for me, as a gal who constantly is doing the exact same thing all the time, I know that I'm doing the exact same stuff all the time. I constantly am feeling like, my existence is so just the same. The only reason why my life is different right now is simply because I have gotten a car accident, so I'm adding a little bit of spice to my day-to-day life. But other than that, I feel like I'm doing the exact same things, and I know many other people feel this exact same way. So this leads me into another issue. So as we know, I'm sure it isn't a surprise if you're watching my channel, I kind of fall under the leftist girlies, and capitalism low-key sucks. I have a video essay actually that I did called The Illusion of the Embourgeoisement of the Working Class, because if you didn't know how capitalism works, if you are poor right now, you're probably going to stay poor, because class mobility isn't really real. Well, it is, but probably not for you. Statistically, it's not your fault. Nothing you can do about it, but, grind really hard. And capitalism, I have the section titled actually, Capitalism Sucks When You're Poor, which is true. Capitalism is kind of made to make the richest person richer and the poorest person poor, and kind of keep that big old separation, because, private companies and corporations are so much more important than the human life, And what I find interesting about cyclical nature is that, for instance, a person, an influencer, like I'm a regular gal. I'm not some person that's a millionaire that's secretly lying to you. Like, I go to work, I go to school, I have to clean my room, I have to do all these tasks. I'm not Kim Kardashian or like Emma Chamberlain. I'm not rich. And it sucks because capitalism kind of puts you in this place where you kind of have no room to be able to develop. You have no room to be able to take a 1 month break for your mental health, because in reality, you probably don't have enough money saved, because you don't have any money to save because of rent prices, bills. If you have kids, oh my God, that's even worse. Pets, a lot of Americans actually don't even have enough money to cover a $200 emergency. So if that happens to be you, try your best to save money. What I do is I save all my tips from my job, and that's my emergency money. So, just as an outside, but to say capitalism is kind of structured that way for you to keep on working. It's, can you see that? I actually don't know if you could see that. But capitalism works against you. They, want you to, I say they, but the system is kind of forced you to keep in the same place that you are. Most Americans live paycheck to paycheck, even when they're making over $100,000 a year. And I don't know why that is. It's weird. It's stupid, because for me, if I was making like $50,000 a year, I would feel so rich, but I know that's not rich. So when it comes to doing the same thing over and over again, and in conjunction with capitalism and trying to make you feel more poor, it sucks, because it's like you're constantly doing the cycle of going to work because you have to eat. In reality, it takes a lot of hard work and dedication and blah, blah, blah to make sure that you can have those breaks, It's hard, sometimes you just need to take your vacation time if you even have vacation time. Take your sick time if you have sick time. But, when you start feeling as though you're dwindling down and you start feeling like, you need a break, it's important to save for those times when you need to take that break, because at the end of the day, your job doesn't care about you. They can replace you tomorrow if they wanted to, and you should not be, hurting yourself or harming your mental well-being just for a job that doesn't care about you. That's just it, It's very easy for me to say that because I obviously don't work at a big corporate job, but still, same thing applies. So next, I want to talk about things that people do to break that cycle, which mostly for this section, I'm going to be highlighting hobbies. Now, for some people, they'll go to the gym, or they'll do like Pilates, Zumba. They might go to a clay making class or painting. They could play video games. They could do, I don't know, so many things. I don't have any hobbies other than this. But the thing about hobbies is that if you do it every single day to kind of mitigate the things you're dealing with in your life, it's also going to feel cyclical. There are many times where I've had to skip videos because it's just too much. Not like I'm saying like, oh, I don't like YouTube, but I'm saying like we have this constant cycle, as I keep on saying over and over again, that my hobby has become something that I have deadlines for, that I have to do because I have to post every single Wednesday, because that's just what my brain told me to do. So now I have to do it. And if I don't, then I feel horrible. But, that's me with my hobby. I could, that could just be me. Who's to say? But if you're trying to escape this cycle of doing the exact same thing every single day, then you're doing your hobbies, even if you do it like twice a week. If you start doing it twice a week, like, oh, like, well, I get off work early on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I'm going to go to clay making class. Guess what you're doing? Creating another routine that you're going to be doing. Not every day, but often enough that you're probably going to get tired of it. Because the reality is that, you know, even if you enjoy something, you know, I used to enjoy playing the guitar. That was every day after school. I would play my guitar for hours upon hours upon hours. And it got to the point to where I would literally wake up, go to school, do homework, play guitar, go to sleep, go to school, do my homework, play guitar for like a solid 2 months. And I haven't played my guitar pretty much since, because I got so exhausted from doing something that I enjoyed. We get no variety. We scroll through TikTok, you know, which is, again, time waster. And we don't really see much release from it all. And it's kind of whack, if you would ask me. All of this to say, how do we break this so-called cycle? Because I keep on saying that you do things and then you do it again. You know, there is no stopping. And to that I say, I don't know. And I've spent the last 2 weeks while doing this video and trying to figure out topics I wanted to bring up in it, what to do. How do we break that cycle? And to be honest, it's okay if you don't know, but, you know, for instance, I went to a restaurant for my birthday, which was weird. I don't particularly do that often. I have attempted to talk to people, make friends even, which is, you know, good because I am chronically lonely online. I have decided to take a podcasting class with my school, which has become a lot more taxing than I thought it would be, but I'm excited to learn new things because, again, with school, I end up becoming in a cycle. I end up just submitting assignments. I automatically do good because I've always been a good student, you know, gifted kid vibes. And it's only whenever I break that cycle, like for instance, I took a class called Media Law and I got a C barely. It was so bad, and I will never take a class like that again. But that broke my cycle. But it also made me really sad. So I wouldn't say just do something just to, you know, make you sad. But you can do things inconsistently consistent. So, like, just try something new. Like I said in my the Feeling Loneliness Online video, try to do something new. Maybe go to a picnic. Maybe go to a museum. You know, try something new just to make it so that you're kind of breaking that endless cycle. Because, like I said, a lot of people don't have the opportunity to just take a month off of work. You know, Sydney Sweeney says she couldn't afford a 6-month break from acting, which, like, who could do that anyways? And we see so often so many celebrities talk about taking mental health days and self-help this, and, you know, your job doesn't matter. Like, take time off, like quiet quitting and all this stuff. But in reality, we all have bills. We all have things we have to pay for. We have to be able to eat, you know, and a lot of these people can just seem really tone deaf and trying to tell you to break that cycle. But I'm here to tell you that you can still be in the cycle, but still try to do things that are not within the cycle. That sounds crazy. But to be honest, being a human being is pretty absurd and pretty wonky when you think about it too hard, which don't, because I went into an existential kind of crisis about life recently because of this stupid book. It's not stupid, it's actually a very good book, and I'm not going to abuse it. And it's going to go on my shelf right after this video. But all of this to say that I think that, you know, as a human being such as myself, it sounds like I'm an alien trying to convince you that I'm real. I am. But I think that we are constantly in this rut and constantly having to struggle with our identities and struggle with, you know, existing within capitalism, because we are kind of forced to. We're born when we didn't ask to be, and then we're thrust into this, you know, adulthood. I think that there's a lot that goes into it, and I think that, you know, we are like Sisyphus, and we constantly get in this consistent thing that happens over and over again. And yes, we can be happy. We can, you know, love our jobs and still do the exact same thing every single day, and that can be dreaded, and that's okay. You're allowed to acknowledge and you're allowed to feel upset about those cycles, and you can try to change it if you can, respectfully, because don't quit your job because a 21-year-old told you to quit your job. Like, don't do that. Keep your job. But I guess that's literally it. This is a stream of consciousness type of video. It was originally going to be a video essay, but as I read that book and kind of started thinking about it more, I was like, no, this is just a conversation. We're chatting, even though I'm talking to myself right now. And I guess Bronx, because he's staring at me because he wants me to pet him still, but I don't want to anymore because he's been abusing me this entire video. But I guess that's it. That's all I have to really say. Nothing too crazy or wonky. But if you guys like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up because it does help little channels like mine. Make sure to also subscribe to me if you would like to. I do make videos every single week. I try my best to. I have a Google form, which I'll link down below. If you want to give me any video ideas or topics you want me to explore and discuss, I might not pick your video idea, but I will say with confidence, I do check out every single one of the video ideas, and I do try to see where I can navigate about it and try to see what I can do. Because there are some videos that I've been working on for the past like 2 months, just slowly adding into like a file, so it could come up one of these days. And I guess that's it. So make sure to stay happy, stay healthy, and stay safe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye guys.